guys, so our next speaker is Nicole. Nicole DiPaolo is 26 years old, and she is a full-time climate activist. She is the Vice President of Climate Action RI, which is a 350.org affiliate, and the Environmental Coordinator of Rhode Island Progressive Democrats, and a volunteer with the Sunrise Movement. So she's going to make a speech and talk about what's going on right now. Thank you.
Thank you all so very much for being here today. We see the temperatures rising. It was just covered in snow, and now what? It's 60 degrees. The seas are rising, the temperatures are rising, and what gives me hope is that we are rising. In the midst of the climate crisis, we are gathered to fight for a livable planet. We are gathered to fight for our futures that are being sold out to corporations and fossil fuel companies. Our futures are being sold out by politicians that perpetuate the culture of corruption and exploitation. Our futures will be secured only in this fight together. The hope for change is in us. It is in us rising up like we are today, dropping our plans and acting on the priority of our time, which is the fight to get old. The fight to get old, that's it, to get old, to be old, breathing air, drinking water, doing what every generation that came before us had the privilege of doing. These privileges have already been lost to so many. They've been lost to the kids in South Providence with the highest rates of asthma, some of the highest rates of asthma in the country, with air that you can smell driving by even when your windows are closed. These privileges have been lost by those already wearing gas masks in China, where so much of what we buy is manufactured. They are lost by the thousands that have woke up scared, unable to see, surrounded by smoke from wildfires due to our climate change planet. They've been lost by people in Texas whose water supply has been poisoned by chemical companies, by cultures in the Amazon that have been destroyed by oil drilling, whose people have been plagued with cancer, whose pristine environment is now toxic, by people in Maine whose water has been stolen by Nestle and whose wells are going dry and could be lost to over half of our state when the mayor of Providence is trying to sell the rights of our water. No. This reality is known. It's proven by science. And even the science gets watered down. Even the science gets filtered by governments that don't want us to be scared. They don't want us to know the truth that 2 degrees warming at this point is nearly inevitable, that we are looking now at 5 degrees warming in the Arctic, that life as we know it could soon be over, that even 11 years is an overstatement, that we are hitting tipping points now, and that the safety window is vanishing. All this, and our politicians refuse to acknowledge it. They refuse to acknowledge the danger that we are in the expense of those who are already suffering, and the expense of young people whose future is not guaranteed. Instead, our politicians attempt to hide the truth and claim to take bold climate action while supporting the expansion of fossil fuels. We see that in our ocean state, so vulnerable to sea level rise, with a governor that has hidden the data from the Department of Health that proves National Grid's liquefaction facility in South Providence is detrimental to public health and safety. Our governor that supports, Gina Raimondo, that supports a fracked gas power plant that would destroy the only forest of its kind in the Northeast, and that would make toxic the water for all the surrounding cities and towns. The government that we were taught will protect us has put us in danger. And to protect our futures, we have each other and the few leaders that have risen to speak truth to power and transform our culture of extraction to a culture of sustainability. That means we must keep rising. We must keep standing in solidarity. We must support each other through this crisis. We must demand that the industries that have caused this crisis fund its solutions. And leaders that will work with us to create a green energy economy. We must make those not as requests, but as demands. We must continue to resist leaders that tell us the most important thing we can do is sit and study and to prepare for a job in a future that does not exist if we lose this fight. The fact that we are demonstrating here today is that we know the truth and we don't accept it. And we will not be complacent. We will reject the status quo that is leading us to an early grave, and we will keep rising until we can solve this climate crisis and secure a livable future for everyone.